Hi guys! For the last few weeks I have been moving stuff out of my little seed pod and getting it down on the allotment, but I can't do that with everything. So today I'm going to see what's still in my seed pod and what I'm going to do with it, because it's all starting to get a little bit too big. For anyone that doesn't know, my name is Peggy and I am going into my third year of growing cut flowers on my allotment here in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, which is just south of Tokyo in USDA Zone 9B. Thanks for checking out my channel. Okay, in my last couple of videos you saw me putting stuff down into the allotment. I put out my stock, my sweet pea and my scabious and my echinacea, but I put them out under low tunnels. One of them for my stock was a plastic covered low tunnel with ventilation holes in it, and the other two were under frost cloth. But I can't do that for everything that I've got. So in here I still have some stuff. I have some geum, which is looking great, but it's still quite small, so I think this is okay. I'm going to leave this a bit more like this. Then I have my rudbeckia. Now this is looking really good, and actually some parts of it are starting to yellow, so I'd like to get this out, but although it's freezing cold this morning and I'm due rain in about half an hour, so I need to be fast, my last frost is actually only a couple of weeks away, so I think this is going to be okay in here just for another couple of weeks, and then I'll get this planted out pretty soon because I have the space in the garden for this. Next up I have my bergamot, which I've not grown before, and I'm really excited about this for a flower, but again it's still quite small, so I think it's going to be okay in there for just a little bit longer. Up here is my lisianthus. I thought I'd lost these all when they fell on my head a few weeks back, but some of them are coming, but I mean they're still teeny tiny, so they can stay in there, no bother. And that's 3 lisianthus I have. So then at the back I have my Lupin, my Sweet William and my Achillea, and these are what I'm going to be dealing with today because they are getting big and they're starting to look a bit stressed in there, so I really want to get them out and into a bigger pot. Okay, so why don't I just put this out into my allotment the way that I've done the other stuff? Well, some of it, like my Sweet William, I'm going to put this down where my allium is right now, and that could go in because I mean the allium don't take up much room, and I do have the space in the garden to put these, but I haven't had my last frost yet. It's still a couple of weeks and it is cold, and I really just don't want to put them out. I could put them out under a low tunnel, except the place they're going in is very small. I don't have that many, and it's going to be in quite literally about 1.5 feet, and it seems silly to try and put up a low tunnel over 1.5 feet, you know, it's not really worth it. So that's just going to be too difficult to do that, and they can go out pretty soon. So for these I'm just going to pot them on into bigger pots just until the last frost has passed, and then I can put them out into the spot in the garden that's ready for them. My Lupin and my Achillea though, I can't do that with because my garden is only 4 meters by 5 meters, which means I don't have a lot of room to have things sitting in the ground, and I am going to be turning and burning basically. So where I currently have my stock is where my Lupin and my Achillea are going to go. My thought being that these come on a little bit later in the season, they should be okay in pots, and with my stock it's a one and done, it's not a cut and come again. So as soon as I get my stock flower I can pull that out of the ground, and literally every time I pull one I'll replace it with one of my Lupin or one of my Achillea. So that I'm hoping that kind of, oh, a little bird. I'm hoping that by the end of probably March, I should, maybe April, I should have all of my stock out and all of this stuff in. But it's literally, I just don't have room in the garden to put everything in right now. So I'm having to plant my summer flowers in where my spring flowers are currently, which means I've got to wait for my spring flowers to actually flower. So for these, I'm just going to pot them on because they're starting to look a bit sad. And give them a little bit more space to grow on until the stalk is finished blooming and I can get these out. That's going to happen for a couple of the other things that I've got as well. I've got some seeds that I want to direct sow, but they're going to be going in where my ranunculus are, where my freesia are, and where my anemone are. So I've got to kind of hold off and wait because they're not going to be up for another couple of months yet, so it's too early to start my seed. But for today I am going to start potting these on. Okay, so here are my Lupin, and up until last week, these were looking really good and really healthy. And just in the last week, they've started to kind of, a few of the top leaves have started to shrivel and they're not looking as healthy as I would like them to. And if we check out the roots, you can see they're becoming quite root bound. I love these pots because they're see-through and you can see exactly what's happening. So I can see that a lot of these are ready to come out. They're really getting too root bound in there. So I'm going to get them out and I'm going to plant each one into its own little 4-inch pot. So that's what they're going into. But I'm not putting them on into normal potting soil. I've got, oh, it's really heavy. I got this, which is a special soil for growing flowers in and for potting flowers on in. And you can actually plant them in containers in this soil as well. And it has a fertilizer mixed into it and a flower food mixed into it. So at this stage, when these guys have got good roots on them and they're starting to get their proper true leaves on and get bigger and stronger, I really want to give them a little bit of food because they are going to still stay in these pots for a wee bit longer. So it's important that I'm giving them some kind of food. So this soil already has food in it, which is great. It has a fertilizer in it, and hopefully that'll help me get really big, strong flowers. You can see this comes out as a really nice, fine, loose soil, but I always like to pre-moisten it before I put it in my pots. It just makes it easier to go in, make sure you're not going to get too many air bubbles, and it means you don't have to water your plants afterwards. Easy. Okay, so that soil is now damp but not dripping wet, and it just makes it easier to put in the pots as well. When I bought these little containers, they came as a set of 10. So you got the watering trays, these trays, the dome, and then you got these cool little tools that help you just to get them out. My hands are filthy, sorry, I just mixed the compost. And you just dig these in and lift them out really easily, is the plan. Okay, so that is my lupin all potted on, but honestly I probably should have done that last week. They were quite root bound and they're not looking overly happy. But hopefully now they're in their big pots, they've got room for their roots to spread out. They should get a little more genki looking. Now it's an overcast day today and we are due some rain, so I'm actually going to leave these guys just sitting out on the deck to try and get them as much sun as they can, because my seed pod is not great for that. Next, Achillea. Okay, so here's my Achillea and I'm really happy with this. I tried to grow Achillea before and I just could not get it to germinate well. It would germinate but then it would really quickly wet off, and that's where I feel that these new boxes that I got have really made a difference this year. My germination has been so much better. I've been able to bottom water everything, which I think is a huge bonus, and has stopped things wetting off. And because they were a smaller container, there's only 12 cells. I don't need that much. My garden's not very big. So because it was only the 12 cells, it meant I could just plant Achillea in here. Before, I kind of had a bigger tray and I would do some Achillea, some Sweet William, some Lupin, and kind of plant them all together and then have them inside. I didn't have a humidity dome, so I was just putting them inside a plastic bag. And some would come up first, but the others hadn't germinated, so I couldn't take the humidity dome off, and that was leading to them wetting off. So I found that because these trays are smaller, I can do one type of plant per tray, which means as soon as they start to germinate, I can take the humidity dome off, and I hardly had any wetting off. In fact, I had no wetting off this season at all. So I'm really chuffed with these. I'm not being sponsored by them. I know it sounds like I am. Not being sponsored by them. Don't actually know who makes them. I just got them online. But they really have changed my germination rate, success rate so much this year, so I'm really happy with these. But it's time to get these potted on as well. So just exactly the same, I've pre-moistened my soil, which is the stuff that has the fertilizer in it, to try and give these guys a bit of a boost, and I'm going to get them moved as quickly as I can because I'm starting to lose feeling in my hands. It is so cold. What I would give for a greenhouse and a garden big enough to put a greenhouse in. Whew. You can see I've got more than one plant in each cell. I think I took it down to 2, maybe 3, but I'm going to leave them like that. I want to bury them in little clumps. Bury them, plant them. I want to plant them out in clumps. Okay, so last I've got Sweet William, and to be honest, I'm not really sure why I'm growing Sweet William. I don't particularly like it. It's not a flower that excites me, but I saw that a lot of people that are using their cut flowers for making bouquets and mixed bouquets, Sweet William comes up at a time kind of once your spring bulbs have finished and before your summer flowers come on. So it's a really good kind of in-between flower, and it's a great filler in a bouquet because it gets big and it takes up a lot of space. I am actually shaking, I'm so cold, I'm sorry. So yeah, it kind of acts as an in-between flower, and it acts as something that kind of fills out an arrangement to make it look big without necessarily having a lot of flowers in it. So I'm trying it this year to see if I like it, but it's going to take some convincing. I'm not sure. It's just one of those flowers that's a bit meh and kind of sinks into the background. But I guess all flowers in a bouquet can't be the focal flower. You need to have something to fill it out and to back it up. So that's why I am growing this year. So let's see how it does. Okay, and that is me all done. These are all potted up. Hopefully they're going to start looking a bit more genki soon, a bit more lively. I should probably have done that last week. They are all looking a bit more root bound than I wanted them to. But it's done now, and hopefully they will sit happily in their pots until I can get them out into the allotment after the first frost or when my stock has done flowering. Oh, I can't feel my hands. I am going to go and get a cup of tea. If you want to follow along and see how this does and what's going on in my allotment, then remember to hit the subscribe button below. If you want to see what I do with all of the flowers that I have been cutting from my garden, you can check out my Instagram, which is From the Witch's Garden, and there's a link to that below this video. You can look back on everything that I did last season as well. And I hope it is not as cold where you are. I will see you guys next week. Bye.